Dear you, I'm writing to you from a version of yourself you may barely remember. The you who first began doubting your own strength long before you ever said it out loud. I remember the moment that doubt quietly settled in your chest. It wasn't a dramatic fall or a loud breaking point. It was subtle. A quiet shift, a soft crack in the confidence you once carried so easily. You didn't notice it at first. You kept saying you were fine, that things were manageable, that you could handle it. But deep inside, something felt slightly off, slightly heavy, slightly fragile in a way you couldn't explain. There were days when you forced yourself to keep going, even though your heart wasn't in it. You walked through responsibilities with a sense of distance, as if you were watching yourself from outside your own life. You laughed at the right moments, said the right words, kept yourself composed. But the doubt was there, growing underneath the surface. You wondered quietly if you were still strong enough to face everything coming your way. You wondered why the things that used to feel light now felt heavy. You wondered if you were losing a part of yourself. I remember how you sat alone at night, thinking about choices you made and choices you avoided. You weren't sure if you were on the right path. You weren't sure if people understood you. You weren't sure if you understood yourself. And there, in that quiet uncertainty, doubt started weaving itself into your days. You told yourself to push through. You told yourself not to bother anyone. You told yourself you should be stronger than this. But strength isn't always loud. Sometimes strength feels like exhaustion. Sometimes strength feels like a whisper instead of a roar. Sometimes strength is simply continuing to breathe, even when you're unsure of everything else. You didn't know it then, but the version of you struggling quietly was still strong, just tired, just overwhelmed, just human. You were carrying things no one saw, and you kept going anyway. Even if you couldn't feel it, the strength was still inside you, waiting for you to recognize it again. I want to tell you something you couldn't understand back then. Doubt doesn't come from weakness. It comes from the weight of what you've carried. It comes from expectations that were set too high. It comes from the quiet pressure to always appear strong, even when your heart needed rest. Your past wasn't gentle. You were asked to adapt in ways most people never see. You were forced to grow up in moments when you wanted to pause. You were taught that strength meant never breaking, never stopping, never slowing down. That's why doubt felt like failure, because you thought real strength was supposed to be effortless. But the truth is this: the strongest people are usually the ones who doubt themselves the most. They carry the most. They care the most. They care the most. They feel the most. They question the most because they hold so much on the inside. You doubted yourself not because you lacked strength, but because you didn't know how much strength you already possessed. Your past self was shaped by moments that pressured you to keep surviving instead of living. Your mind learned to stay alert. Your heart learned to keep quiet. Your spirit learned to endure. And endurance is not the same as weakness. Endurance is what kept you moving forward, even when everything felt uncertain. Endurance is what allowed you to get up every morning, despite the heaviness in your chest. Endurance is what carried you through storms you never talked about. You often blamed yourself for not feeling confident enough. But confidence doesn't grow in environments where you're constantly bracing for impact. Confidence grows when you finally feel safe. You didn't have that safety yet. You were trying to build a foundation while standing on shaky ground. Still, you never gave up. You questioned yourself, but you kept moving. You doubted your strength, but you kept showing up. You felt lost, but you continued searching. That is strength. Quiet, steady, unrecognized strength. And I want you to understand that the fact you doubted yourself means you cared deeply about doing things right. It means you held yourself to a standard because you expected more from your life. It means you were already growing. Even in the moments when you felt stuck, you weren't losing strength. You were learning what real strength looks like: tender, honest, vulnerable, human. Now I'm writing to you from the past, but I'm speaking to the version of you reading this right now. The you who has lived through storms, learned through pain, and grown through doubt. I want you to know that the strength you once questioned is alive in you today, fuller and deeper than ever before. You survived every season you weren't prepared for. You held yourself together in moments when you felt exhausted. You walked through days you thought you couldn't handle. You kept moving even when the path was unclear. And here's something true. Your strength is not gone. It has simply changed shape. It no longer looks like perfection or endless resilience. It looks like honesty. It looks like rest. It looks like saying, "I don't know," without feeling ashamed. It looks like giving yourself permission to grow slowly. It looks like choosing yourself even when it's uncomfortable. You are not the lost version of yourself anymore. You have turned fear into awareness. You have turned doubt into reflection. You have turned uncertainty into a path that is uniquely yours. And the best part, you are still changing, still softening, still learning, still rising. Your past self is proud of you. Not because you became perfect, but because you kept going. Proud because you held on when doubt felt louder than hope. Proud because you found your way back to yourself even after feeling disconnected. Proud because you learned that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Try again tomorrow." Take a slow breath now. Feel it steady you. Feel it remind you that you are alive, capable, worthy, becoming. There are days ahead filled with clarity, connection, and warmth. There are moments waiting where things finally make sense. There are people you haven't met yet who will understand you in ways you've always hoped for. There are quieter, brighter, softer chapters on the way. And through all of it, I'll be with you. The past version of you who once doubted, now cheering for the person you're becoming sincerely. You.